Good morning, YouTube world. How's it going? Sorry I sound a little scraggly this morning. I'm kind of sickish, so my voice is a little, or my throat is a little raspy, you know. And obviously it's raining right now, which, I mean, obviously I'm out here in it, so it's not like I mind, but yeah, just raining a little bit for my Thursday morning commute. How's everybody doing? I know it's been a little while. I did those how-to videos, but I haven't really vlogged, so part of that's been because the weather hasn't been that great. Right now it's not bad, but last week it snowed. It snowed on the 1st of May, of course. And also, I've been in the middle of finals, and actually just last night I finished my last final, so I am officially on summer break, whatever. So now I actually have time to do stuff, since I've been buried in textbooks and notes and tests for a week now or whatever. So anyways, here I am. Yeah, good morning. So what I thought I would talk about this morning is a little bit about motorcycle helmets and kind of like what sort, or what is required-ish, or what makes a good helmet. Obviously, I say that you should wear your helmet all the time. Here in Colorado, it is not a law. It is not a law. It's not required that you wear a helmet on a motorcycle. So here, you know, all I can do is request that you guys wear helmets, because obviously it's a good idea. But yeah, I thought I would talk about it a little bit. First of all, obviously, when you're looking for a helmet, you probably have two things in mind. Well, a few things in mind. Obviously, you're looking for a decent price, and you're looking for something that's obviously going to hold up and last long and save you in a wreck, because that's the point of a helmet. And you might be looking for visuals too. Obviously, it's, you know, a cool helmet is a cool thing to have on a bike, but that's probably one of the lesser things. It's more money and safety. So if you guys are motorcycle riders, or if you're getting into it, or you may not know about it, but basically helmets are given safety ratings and get certifications based on basically how good they are. Now, pretty much every helmet out there is going to be, at least in the U.S., DOT certified. So it's certified by the Department of Transportation to be meeting enough safety standards to be used on the street. And of course, in all other countries in Europe and stuff like that, they all have their own standards that you have to meet. And usually when you're looking at a helmet for sale, like if you're on Motorcycle Superstore or something like that, the helmet, in the description, it will say, you know, it's DOT certified, it's ECE certified, it's certified in all these different countries or whatever, you know, stuff like that. So basically, your basic helmets that cost 50 bucks, 100 bucks, something like that, usually are all DOT certified, which is good. I mean, obviously you want to have a legal helmet, and DOT certified, of course, is important if you are in a state where, at least in the U.S., where helmets are required. So the first step in safety, of course, is your DOT certification, or ECE, or wherever you are, the certification of your helmet. And then the second step, you guys may have heard of before, is Snell. And it's S-N-E-L-L. And this is I think it's an independent organization, and it's based out of Europe, I think. And Snell, it's just another group that kind of, you know, tests and reviews well, not really reviews, but they test out the quality of helmets, and, you know, how well they stand up in a wreck. They basically give it a more rigorous testing, if you will, than like a DOT certification or anything like that. And some helmets obviously get Snell ratings and some don't. It depends on how good the helmet is. And helmets generally differ. The reason they differ in quality is basically what the shell is actually made out of. Sometimes they're made out of, polyurethane, plastics, all sorts of different things that they can be made out of. Sometimes it's fiberglass, stuff like that. And I mean, obviously different shells cost different amount of money for the manufacturer to make. And the better shells, usually cost a little bit more, and that's why Snell rated helmets are generally a little bit more expensive. So the next step in safety really when you're looking for a helmet is Snell certification. Now, some people say you don't need it. I mean, I generally think it's a good idea to have. It's just, it's just showing that helmet is going to hold up even better in a wreck than a cheap DOT standard helmet. So, a lot of people say, when you think Snell, like I said, it's generally more expensive. And so a lot of times people think, oh, if I want a really good helmet, I need like a Sceaj or a Rye or something like that. And it is true that Sceaj and Arai helmets, they're more expensive, of course, but they are obviously a lot better quality. And I'm honestly looking at upgrading to a Sceaj, so you may see that soon. But yeah, generally, those are the top two ones. Those are the really nice ones. Those are all Snell rated, etc., etc. However, and also in addition, those are more expensive. Like I said, they're they can go upwards of $300, $400, $500 plus. I mean, obviously for the really nice Arais and the really nice Sceajs, you're spending good $600, $700, $800 for the really nice ones. So helmets can get a little expensive, but here's the good news. A lot of people think, oh, if I want a really good helmet, if I really want something really nice, I need to spend a lot of money. But here's the news. There are a good number of helmets that are cheaper in price. They're a little bit lower in price, but they still meet these Snell standards. For example, my helmet, I may do a review on this at some point. My helmet is the HJC CL16 model. This helmet I bought for probably $130, $140. Fairly inexpensive when it comes to the helmet market. My helmet is Snell M2010 rated, which is what all the Sceajs are, the Rise and stuff like that. And I know there are other helmets out there like mine that are a little bit cheaper, but that are still well rated for safety. So my advice is, if you do want the Snell rating, which obviously I recommend, you don't necessarily need to, especially if it's your first helmet like mine. You may not need to spend all of the money for a Sceaj or an Arai. And I mean, obviously those helmets are top quality, but you can still get well quality, safety rated helmets like mine for a little bit cheaper. So shop around a little bit. I know that HJC, they're pretty decent. They do have some of their helmets are Snell rated, some aren't. So you have to look between the models. Some of the little bit less than $100 priced ones aren't as high quality, but the CL16 I know, they came out, what's the new one? I don't know. There's a really new nice one that came out too. Some of the little higher end HJCs, like I said, they don't break the bank, but they are, like mine, is Snell rated, so it's a really great helmet for not that expensive, obviously. Now, in general, cheaper helmets, less than $100, I tend to stay away from them just because they're not as good. I mean, maybe as like a second backup helmet, I don't know. I might have one, or for like a second helmet for a second rider, maybe. But in general, I tend to think, I'm going to stay away from them because they're not as safe. I mean, you're paying $50 to $80 for a cheap helmet, and you're not getting as good a quality out of it. A few other things, I guess. Icon. I'm kind of iffy on Icon because some of Icon's stuff is reasonably priced, but some of Icon's helmets like the variant or whatever, that helmet's like $300 or $400, and it's not Snell rated. There's no way I'm gonna pay $300 to $400 on a Icon helmet when it's not even Snell rated. I could spend that same amount of money on a nice Shoei, or maybe a cheaper ride. Rides tend to be more expensive, so maybe a Shoei. You can get a lot better helmet than an Icon for the same price. Now, some of Icon stuff is cheaper, you know, around the 100, 150 mark, but in general, I mean, a lot of Icon I feel like is paying for the name, and it's no offense to Icon or Icon owners or anything like that. It's just, it's not that good of a helmet to spend $300 on. So, that's my take on Icon. I won't go any more into that, but so basically, I mean, in general, when you're looking for a helmet, I mean, I look for the Snell rating. I look for, you know, a reasonable name, well-known name brand, Arai, Shoei, HJC. I mean, obviously their stuff's kind of hit and miss. Some of it's good, some of it's not as good, but HJC, you know, but the cheaper helmets like KBC or whatever they're called that are, you know, sub 100, I tend to stay away from those just because they're not as good a quality, they're not as safe, and they're not going to protect you as well in the event of a wreck. That's a little bit about my take on, since I've been riding forever now, and this is probably a long video, that's a little bit about my take on purchasing a motorcycle helmet and what makes a good helmet. So at this point, guys, I'll go ahead and cut it, try to stay dry. I'm almost to campus, so finally, but anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Nasser, I'm out. Peace.